I have been living with sickle cell for over 40 years, and my experiences span that same entire years. I didn't get to know that I live with sickle cell. My parents got to know that I live with sickle cell. I think they got to discover when I was less than 1 year from what they told me. Yes, so that's where the signs, some of us quickly show the signs, and that probes our parents to go find out, okay, what's happening to this child. And gradually like that, I also started growing the consciousness that I live with a condition that I need to manage myself. One of the earliest signs that I noticed was that my eyes were always yellow, and then we talk about the hand and foot syndrome. So the hand and foot syndrome is probably one of the earliest signs that many parents see. They just see that the hand of this child is swelling up, the foot of the child is swelling up, and from there, as I noticed, I was having crisis. I missed classes often, and like that. So anytime I get back to school, and my friends ask me, about me, why didn't we see you in school yesterday? Okay, do you want to know? That's good. I just engaged them with whatever I knew at that time, and gradually that's how the process started for me. Creating awareness about sickle cell and all of that. I tell them, okay, I had crisis yesterday, and that's why I didn't come to school today, and all of that. The other complications came in. For example, like as a teenager, I started having what we call leg ulcer. And leg ulcer is a wound that comes to your legs, and then it doesn't heal fast. We have priapism in males. Priapism is masculine reproductive system just standing and not falling, getting back, because there was a flow of blood that wasn't returned. For some people who have experienced it, it might need them to go to the hospital for them to push out, like drain out with cannula, the blood that has flown down into the reproductive system. Everything that happens to sickle cell basically has something to do with blood, because sickle cell is actually related to the red blood cell. And it is because the cells are not shaped as they should. So I've been through quite a number of crises, jaundice, anemia, leg ulcer, enuresis. Enuresis is bedwetting, and it happens a lot for people like us who live with sickle cell. And it's for me, I realized that when you drink, because water is something that is prescribed for us, drink a lot of water so that it can help the flow of the blood cells. So when I drink, you just find out the incontinence just happens in the night, and this can take so long. For my case, I think by the time I was finishing secondary school, I was still bedwetting. Stigma is a regular concern for people who live with sickle cell. And like I always say, in our society, you can be stigmatized for virtually anything. You are rich, you can be stigmatized. You are poor, you can be stigmatized. You are fat, you can be stigmatized. So for people like us, stigma is something that we've come to manage. For example, growing up, and up to now, I don't think I'm very fat. So those days, they call me Smally, they call me all manner of names for my stature. But then I quite understand, because I know that probably because of their level of knowledge and all of that. It's not like I knew too much about the condition then, but I just felt like, well, they don't know so much, so let me allow them. So what we do as people living with sickle cell is we are quite very hardworking, we are quite very resilient. In fact, we are quite very intelligent. And then we also tell employers, we also tell the government, we are hardworking people. We can prove our mettle. We can do this job. Give it to us. Let us do it. But also know that we are humans. And that means that because of this condition, it is possible that I fall sick today. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to deliver when I'm up. So our work rate is, and I've found this for many sickle cell warriors, our work rate is, anytime I'm up, I want to do like 200%, so that people would understand. So we want that understanding from employers. We don't outgrow sickle cell. For example, maybe malaria can be a trigger for some people, stress can be a trigger for some people. For me, for example, yes, I can be in a cold environment, as long as it's a dry, cold environment. If I enter the rain and rain beats me heavily, I'm sure that I'm on the borderline of a pain crisis. As you are growing up, you are also studying yourself, you are seeing these things. So that is why the frequency of crisis can drop in adults. But that doesn't mean that they should not take care of themselves. So concerning frequency of crisis, it starts to drop. It has been shown, it has been seen that it drops over time. In fact, as you grow, that many times people don't even, a lot of people may not even remember the last time they had crisis. You can start hearing people, the last time I had crisis was 1 year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and all of those things. Because of management, you now know your triggers. Managing sickle cell can be expensive. Children will always be children. When I was a child, I can't be seeing my friends playing football. I would also jump on the street and play football. I played football on the streets of Agege in Lagos. So I played football in the school because you don't want to. I'm a boy. So children will play, and we encourage play because we don't want our children to also be recluse. We don't want them to also feel isolated from society because they have a condition. And we have found that people living in sickle cell, they get to become whatever they want to become. So there is no limit to somebody who lives with sickle cell. It is just to manage yourself and manage yourself well. For us, doctors are our best friends. And we just have to keep that appointment. The reason is because the things that your parents will notice may not notice at home, they will notice it by virtue of their practice and by virtue of what they have learned in school. People living with sickle cell they can eat anything they want to eat. For example, for myself now, I just noticed that when I take beans, I love beans. And I can take beans morning, afternoon. But once it's 7, I don't take beans. The reason is because I just noticed that for some years now, once I take beans in the night, forget it, that next day, I'm not going to enjoy myself. I'll just be stooling all day. It means that the beans did not digest over the night. The healthcare system of Nigeria, like it is for everybody, we are also feeling it. We have specialist doctors that attend to people living with sickle cell. We call them hematologists. But gradually, like all the doctors are jackpying, they too are also jackpying as well. We're having fewer numbers of people who understand this condition and how to manage people living with the condition. And then the people who are there currently, they are stressed out because they are overworked and they are underpaid. For now, the health insurance that we have across the country are not enough to take care of specifics that people living with sickle cell may have. For example, if a sickle cell warrior needs to take 2 pints of blood, for example, at a goal, how many health insurance will be able to cover it? A country that is largely resource poor, because the number of people living with the condition, many of them don't have enough to even feed themselves. Now to talk about taking care of the children. And we have people who have 1 child, 2 children. We say, estimate-wise, that people living with sickle cell in Nigeria are about 4 million, over 4 million. And 4 million people is more than some states in Nigeria, if you want to look at the population. So the healthcare system in Nigeria really needs to pay attention to the general population one, but specific attention to the people living with sickle cell in the country. Talking about cures, now bone marrow transplant, like I said, it involves, and just like bone marrow transplant, like stem cell transplant, they have to take materials from that child who doesn't live with the sickle cell, to help their sibling or their family member who needs this support. However, once this person who has passed through the bone marrow transplant or the stem cell transplant, once they have passed through it and they are successfully, that process has been successfully done. In fact, transplant is a surgery. So once that is done, the person now is not seen to live with sickle cell. What do I mean? It means that the crisis, the pains, the anemia, all the complications that come with sickle cell, the person no longer has them. The person can enjoy their life just like an AA person, for example, if that is if put it in that manner of speaking. But we tell them that you still have to marry somebody who is AA. So it means that all those myths that we have been hearing in the past, that they don't live up to 21 years, is a no. At least you have seen me, I'm now 41 years old. It's all those myths that they don't go to school, they cannot, they are, Yoruba says they are foniku folande. That is, they wake up today, they die tomorrow. Like, it's not true. It's not true. We don't always spend our days in the hospital. I am in my office right now, and that's where this interview is being conducted. So people go to school, they become lawyers, they become whatever they want to become, because despite the fact that they live with sickle cell. And so that myth should be debunked. So it means that you don't have to lock up your child because they live with sickle cell. You don't have to believe that because they live with sickle cell, they can't live long. You don't have to say because they live with sickle cell, they may not spend my money on it. He's even going to die eventually, right? Everybody will die, even you that is there, you still have to die. So, but the person living with sickle cell can live long. We were talking earlier about the oldest person who lived with sickle cell who died at the age of 94. Mama Oniko Ilaguda died at the age of 94. She's like the oldest person that we can talk about right now in Nigeria that lived the longest with sickle cell. It means that it is possible. We have people in their 60s right now, we have people in their 70s, we have people in their 80s, we have people in their 50s, 40s, like that. So that two people live with sickle cell also means that we also have a unique journey. There are some things that you will experience that that person may not experience. There are some things that you both may experience that you may not be experiencing at the same frequency. So those are the things that we also need to consider. So there is no need for comparison. And I always tell people, you don't need to compare yourself. Just live your life and live the best of yourself. You need it. You are competing with yourself. You want to get better daily. You want to get better daily. That's what you are doing. You are not competing with any other person.